How to avoid self sabotage. Understanding the cause. Self sabotage is engaging in behaviors that undermines or contradicts our values and intentions. We hinder our own success and well being by undermining personal goals and values. Self reflection. If we can identify when and where self sabotaging occurs, we have a better chance of correcting the behavior. When we self sabotage, it is rooted in unhealthy beliefs and the story we tell ourselves. Now, I want you to stop and think about that for a minute. What story are you telling yourself? Now, take some time to think about your goals, your aspirations, your dreams, areas in your life where you were faced with a setback and experienced persistent challenges. What was the main cause of those challenges? Was it procrastination? Was it the imposter syndrome? Was it dealing with avoidance? Just think about it for a little bit. What was the cause of those challenges? Setting unrealistic standards, fear of failure, fear of failure. What was the cause of the challenge? Now, I want you to stop and we're going to reflect because when I was doing research on this, I found out, and it was like an aha moment, even though it's like you should know this. You know how they talk about generational curses or things that are traveling through your bloodline? Did you know that self sabotage can travel through your bloodline and be a generational curse? How, you ask? Okay, let's think about this. If you were raised in the house, and in that house, all they did was negative talk, meaning you had your mom and your dad and they were talking negatively to each other or to themselves. Like, I don't know why I did that. I always do this. I always do dumb stuff. I always do stupid stuff. I can't think right. If you heard that growing up, then you were starting to think that yourself when something happened. Man, I'm just stupid. I'm just dumb. I can't do this. Like, I don't even know why I tried to do this. I know I'm not smart enough to do this, but all you're doing is modeling the behavior that you witnessed as a child. And that behavior just stuck with you and now you are a grown adult and you're still doing this negative self talk. So now, since you realize that, oh my goodness, this is where that came from. Now you have to try to set up some strategies on how you're going to stop the self talk. Because just think about it. If you picked up this behavior from your family members, your parents, whomever it may have been, and now you're doing it, if you have children, what are they witnessing? What are they seeing? So these are some things that we have to stop and think about, and we have to self reflect on. Like, where did this come from? Where is it rooted from? Like, when did this start? Why did it start? Those are the questions that we need to ask. And then after we ask those questions, we actually need to figure out the answer so that way we can put an end to the self-sabotaging. So now if you are one of the ones who just realized from the aha moment that I picked this up from my family, this is what they did. And so now this is what I do. So now it is up to you to stop that generational curse or that bloodline of negative talk. It's up to you to break it and to change it. So that means you're going to start incorporating affirmations, positive talk, encouragement, motivation into your daily speech. And you're going to keep doing it until it becomes habitual, until the point that you're walking around just saying that I'm going to be great today, that I can do all things that I put my hands to. If you're religious, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You're going to walk around and you're going to say those positive affirmations. You're going to say what needs to be said to uplift you, to motivate you, and to encourage you and move you from where you were to where you want to be. So those are some things that you need to think about when you're self-reflecting. Another aha moment could be someone who has dealt with a traumatic experience self-sabotages a lot, and they might not even realize it. Now, when we're talking about traumatic experiences, they can differ because something that can traumatize one person may not traumatize another person. But the ones that are spoken about the most frequently are physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse. If you are if you were in the middle of some form of violence, or if there was like a sudden death in your family or a close family member, these things can traumatize you. Now, when somebody is dealing with these kinds of traumatization, they tend to have issues with trusting other people. I mean, it is no fault of their own, it's because of what they went through. But they have issues with trusting other people. Now, I want you to stop and I want you to think. I want you to ask yourself, what story are you telling yourself about these experiences? What stories are you telling yourself about these experiences? Because some people who have experienced traumatic experiences, they play them back in their head over and over again. Sometimes they keep playing it back, but it gets distorted based on what they remember or what they think it should have been. So I want you to figure out, what story are you telling yourself based on these experiences? I want you to ask yourself, why did it happen? Then I want you to stop and think, are you blaming yourself? What negative beliefs do you have about yourself because of this experience? Are you struggling with low self esteem? These are some questions that I want you to stop and I want you to think about. Write down your answers. Why did it happen? Because you may be blaming yourself about something that wasn't even your fault, but you have carried that burden with you your entire life from the time that that incident happened, and you're blaming yourself. And in the process of you blaming yourself, now you are self-sabotaging relationships, or you're self-sabotaging experiences, because you don't want people to get too close. You don't trust them. They might be there 1 minute and then they leave. So you're trying to avoid being hurt again. So this is causing you to self-sabotage. So I just want you to stop. I want you to self-reflect on that. Once you write down your answers for that, then we need to work on some ways that you can start regaining trust, building trust, knowing that it was not your fault. It is a situation that happened. Yes, it has scarred you. Yes, it has hurt you. But we need to put some strategies in place so that now that you can move forward in your life and not dwell on what happened, because that is causing you to miss out on great opportunities in life. So if you need to seek counseling, see a therapist, I recommend that you do that, because we all want to advance. We all want to move forward. We all want to grow. We don't want to stay stagnated. We want to live happy lives. So I want you to stop. I want you to think about those things. If you have experienced a traumatic experience, and try to see if that is what is causing you to have self-sabotaging behaviors. And if you realize that that is a cause, I want you to strategize, speak with somebody, set out a plan of action that is going to help you to move forward. We're going to discuss understanding the triggers. So I'm going to read to you a scenario. So everybody say hello to Alex. Alex works in a demanding job that frequently causes high level of stress. As a result, he has developed a self-sabotaging behavior of emotional eating, particularly during the stressful work days. How many people knew that emotional eating was self-sabotaging? Hmm. All right, let's continue. Identifying the trigger. Alex recognizes that stress at work is a significant trigger for his emotional eating. Whenever he faces tight deadlines, high pressure meetings, or conflicts with colleagues, he turned to unhealthy eating of snacks and overeating to cope with his emotions. Is there anybody who can attest to this? I can. This used to be me at one point, but I changed that. Yes, at work, it was like, what can I get? Or by the time I got home, it was like, what can I get? I had my comfort food. So once I left the job, yes, it was like, okay, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to get me my sub and my fries. Yes, I had my comfort food. And then I would go home and I would curl up, watch a good movie, and I would eat my food. But the problem is, you're like, that's not bad. But if you do this every single day, it's bad. It's bad. Because you put all your feelings in that food and the food just be tasting so good so you want some more of it. So it's bad. So Alex recognized what was triggering him to have those emotional eating spouts. And I recognized it and I realized I had to change my patterns if I wanted to continue to live a healthy life. So let's get back into this. Alex's emotional response. Alex had noticed that when he's stressed at work, he experiences a mixed emotions, including anxiety, frustration, and a sense of being overwhelmed. These emotions trigger his desire to eat comfort food. See, there we go. Comfort food as a way to temporarily soothe himself. Now, let's talk about this association with food. Alex has established a connection between certain types of food, chips, chocolate, sugary drinks, and stress relief. He tends to keep these food readily available in his workspace, making it easy to grab them when stress strikes. See, now Alex is different from me because he was eating it while he was at work. I ate it once I got off from work because once I got off from work, it was just like, oh. Then it was like, I need my food. I need my food. That is what's gonna make me feel better. I want my food. Let me go get my food. That's how I was. Now Alex was eating his at work. He had stashes at work. I didn't have stashes at work, but once work was over, oh yes, I'm hitting up my spot and I am getting my food. Now, cycle of behavior. Over time, this pattern has become a self sabotaging cycle. The more Alex turns to unhealthy eating to cope with stress, the more he relies on it as a coping mechanism, leading to weight gain and diminished overall well being. So, now we're going to talk about the consequences of these triggers or this one particular trigger. Alex's emotional eating has resulted in weight gain and health issues, further adding to his stress. Now, we all know for those who deal with the weight gain, you get stressed when you gain the weight because then you're trying to figure out what can you do to lose the weight because now you can't fit your clothes and then you're mad because you can't fit your clothes and you got to go buy new clothes. And then you're like, well, I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out. But you know, right now, if your mind is not at that point where you're ready to work out, that's just stressing you out even more because now you're saying you're going to go work out, but you're not working out. So all of this is leading to stress. And it's probably causing him to eat even more now. The next one, his self-esteem has suffered as he feels guilty and ashamed about his inability to control his eating habits. His work performance has also been affected because emotional eating doesn't provide effective stress relief. It only masks the emotions temporarily. So now these are all of the consequences of the trigger, which is Alex doing emotional eating. Now, breaking the trigger of this self-sabotaging pattern, Alex can do a couple of things. Recognize the trigger. Self-awareness is key. Self-awareness is key. Alex acknowledges that stress at work triggers his emotional eating. Now, Alex needs to find other coping mechanisms. So now he can explore eating healthier food, having healthier snacks stashed around inside of his office. Instead of having the chips and the sugar, maybe he can have some fruit or some sugar-free candy. So Alex has to find other ways to cope. Also, instead of eating, Alex can also get up, walk around, walk outside, Some people have the little punching bags inside the office. So if he's feeling stressed, go in the corner, duke it out with the punching bag. Take some deep breaths. Some people do the breathing techniques and it calms them down. So Alex has to find other ways to cope. Next, remove the food triggers. So we already said we can replace them with healthier snacks, but how about removing them all together? So taking all of the chips, the drinks, all of that out. So now when he goes to the cabinet to get it, it's like, oh, it's not here. All right, so let me do something else besides eat. So that is another way that Alice can respond to breaking this self-sabotaging behavior. Seek support. There are help groups out here for everything. So Alex can find some help groups that are going to help him to learn different ways to cope with stress and also teach him how to not overeat. So those are some things that Alex can do. Alex can also practice mindfulness. Learn to be more mindful of his emotions and his response to stress. Now, these were just some things that were going to help Alex out with his triggers. And now that Alex knows what the triggers are and he knows why they're happening, and now he can put some strategies in place to help him with that. Understanding self sabotage is an ongoing journey. So I want you to continue to strive for greatness, continue to seek help, continue to identify those triggers, find out what you can do to counteract those triggers, and be patient in the process. Give yourself some grace while you're working through this process. It may not be easy all the time, but you will be able to get through this. So until next time, have a growth mindset. Look for personal growth, personal change. Be a change agent in your own life.